So I thought I'd do a little video on a topic that's near and dear to our hearts and tends to be a fairly hot topic in Piute County these days. Thought we'd talk about wilderness, and of course it wouldn't be right to cover this topic without talking a little bit about history. So just bear with me, but the National Wilderness Preservation System was put in place in 1964, and that's what required the National Park Service and the Forest Service and the U.S. Fisheries and Wildlife to review all of their inventoried lands and make a decision on what lands needed to be included as wilderness area. And they come along in 1976 at the same time that they repealed RS 2477 with the Land Policy Management Act, and they made the Forest Service do this, I'm sorry, the BLM do the same thing. So the BLM had to go through and inventory all their land, and through that process, there have been 756 wilderness areas created that encompass 107 million acres, somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 square miles of land that's currently wilderness in the United States. And this process is fairly complicated, but it has to be submitted by a sponsoring agency to Congress, and it has to go through Congress and be approved. The scary part about this is there's numerous instances where the sponsoring agencies recommended one thing and Congress has done a completely other thing, oftentimes with more acreage than the sponsoring agency called for. In Utah, we have something that's kind of spooky, and it's been lingering out there since 1989, called the Red Rock Wilderness Act. The Red Rock Wilderness Act has been in and out of Congress and into committee and out of committee many times since 1989. Most recently submitted by Richard Durbin in 2011, in May of 2011. The scary part about this is we're talking about somebody from Illinois who's making a proposal for taking 9.4 million acres of land in Utah, and it's being proposed by a congressman out of Illinois, if that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So anyways, if this were to go through, it would increase Utah's lands that are basically off limits to economic development to 39% of the state that we're completely off limits from. By the way, this includes a big chunk of land in Piute County. If you want to take a look, you can look around on the web. There's several maps out there that will show you what the Red Rock Wilderness Act includes. The scary part is, after the last omnibus bill passed through, and there was a lot of environmental type provisions that got through on that bill, we really should be concerned, and as many are, that this may go through during this administration. So I'm adamantly opposed to this, and I'm also opposed to a lot of things that have been proposed by the Fish Lake National Forest. There are the top of the Tusher Mountains, the upper part of Fish Creek. There are several things that have been proposed as wilderness. Now, one of the things you have to understand is that for land to qualify for wilderness, it has to be 5,000 square acres, and which are considered roadless and non-interrupted by man. And so the solution to that is, if there are roads in those areas, we got to get those roads closed before they qualify for 5,000 acre parcels. So that's kind of scary, because we've been talking about a lot of road closures. So what's the agenda? I don't know, but I can tell you I'm opposed to the road closures, and I'm opposed to any wilderness in Piute County. So if you go out and look at the Grand Canyon Trust website, they list the top of the Tusher Mountains as their #1 priority for wilderness protection in the state of Utah. So that means that that's going to be up and coming and continue to be an issue. As you know, the land use bill that Piute County was working on, there was a lot of input from environmental groups and whatnot. Hopefully that's all come to a rest at this point, but it's never going to go away. It's going to continue to be there. I vow to fight this fight to the bitter end. I understand these issues, and I'm willing to commit the time and the resources that it takes to do this job and do it right, and fight this fight in the most effective manner possible. So I need your vote in the upcoming primary election, but I want you to know I got your back on the wilderness issue, and I understand it, and I know how to fight it. Thank you.